And 3, 2, 1.
Shotu.
Shotu?
Welcome to another edition of Indian Cine-MANIACS. What is going on, Maniacs? It's been a while.
Hello.
We are back.
Yes, we are back. So,
I'm
John,
so happy I'm advertising my book twice behind me.
you got him
Oh,
over.
did you write a book? I didn't know that.
Yeah, who knew that? Both shoulders, double whammy.
Yeah, look at that.
Hey, both of my books
Blocks
deal
out
with
the
theme of
chores.
suicide. Ooh.
Oof. Let's first of
Nice
all give a
crossover.
trigger warning that there might be some suicide talked about in this film. John, this was second to
give
last
spoiler
on the
alert.
wheel. Yep.
Yes.
Definitely. This came out in 2016. I think we can spoil it. Do you have a write-up on this one?
I do. This was recommended by a loyal fan of both this show and the 10-minute show, Akshat 1260. And his write-up is short but sweet. An amazing story for me with an accomplished ensemble cast. Director is a great actress in India, and she's found her feet as a director as well. John, I think, will love it. One of our indie best.
Interesting. I was wondering if she was an actress
Female
as well.
director. Yeah.
She was. This was her
First
debut.
of all,
Well, we've seen her.
the blurb was
Konkona.
short and sweet, and
Yeah.
the film was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one. An hour and 40 minutes, 100 minutes. Unbelievable. I almost wanted to watch it 3 times just to get back into it.
And it
Yeah,
had an
so-
intermission and everything.
And this one is called A Death in the Gunj. Yeah?
A Death in the Gunj, yes.
The Gunj. Okay, so, John, why don't you describe it?
So it was directed by Konkona Sen Sharma, who was an actress. This was her directorial debut. She was in Amkara and another movie I did on 10 minutes, Seven Kun Maif. The story was based on a story from her father. And it had a great cast, but Vikrant Massey, who I've recently started to see, he was in a movie I did called 12th Fail, and he's also in a series that I'm reviewing called Mirzapur. And I've never seen him in anything till these films. And he plays Shudu. He plays the lead character in this, and he's wonderful in this. But Kalki Koechlin, who was in Gully Boy, Ranvir Shorey, who plays Vikram, who's very good in this. And kind of an asshole. He was in E.K. the Tiger and Tiger 3, and he was also the ex-husband of the director of the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this story,
Wow.
look, this story really simplified is a story about a shy Indian student who may or may not have mental health issues, who falls into despair during a family vacation in I know I'm going to say this wrong. Gunj.
McCluskey Gunj. Yeah, you got the.
And 1979, and it's set in 1979. I don't know.
It's set in 1978, and they have Happy New Year to 1979.
Oh, yeah, 79,
Although
right,
they're
78,
saying it
79.
takes place in 79, but they have
I'm
New
not
Year.
sure what the point was of setting in that time, other than they just wanted to make a period piece. But that's really the basic of the story. And this movie was weird for me. I really, it had me from the very beginning with the scene with the trunk, where they open up the trunk. It looked like Pulp Fiction. They're looking down in the trunk with a dead body. But I will say, as much as I enjoyed 90% of the film, I thought there were a couple cheats in it that I didn't like at the beginning and at the end. And
really big cheat?
obviously in this review, it's 2016, but
we
we
have to spoil it.
We have to spoil this film.
Yeah.
The whole premise is there's a dead body in the trunk, and you don't know who the dead body is.
Except you do right from the get-go.
Well, do you? Because there's 2 people missing in that car. One of them is Vikram, and one of them is Shutu.
Yeah,
so
but Shutu
it could have been either one of them.
But Shutu pops up in that car. I knew right away he was the one that was going to die based on that first scene. And when you watch the trailer, you think it's going to be a Tarantino film just based on that trunk shot and where they shot it. And it turns out it's just kind of a family drama with other stuff going on. But I knew right away that that's the guy that's going to die. Just based on the way he shot it and the way he popped up in the back. I mean,
I didn't see that.
No offense to anybody,
he was already
because
dead.
he was in the car.
Oh, I thought he was already dead. I thought he was the guy that was in the trunk.
I didn't think when I saw him in the car, he was the dead body in the trunk.
Interesting.
I didn't think so either.
So then at the end,
there's that seance scene. So
there's foreshadowing, obviously.
I don't think it's a cheat. I think it was a surprisingly effective misdirect because you think you're watching what might be a crime or murder movie, and it's got a death in it, but it's not that kind of story.
Cheat at all.
I think it worked. So.
She set it up right to even the seance. They said the first one was going to die.
Wait. You can't say you cannot say they didn't cheat at all.
That's not
when
a cheat.
It is a cheat because he's dead and he's
whatever
in the
you want
back
to call
seat
it.
with them.
They put a body in the trunk, and there's a guy sitting in the back seat. You can't tell me that's not a misdirect.
I don't know why.
He was sleeping.
I mean, he's standing there, so right away
you don't notice. What was the shirt he was wearing in the trunk?
Well, I don't know. I didn't even see.
He was wearing his dead father's sweater, but that.
Okay. But
I don't know why, John. I don't know why I immediately knew that was the guy that was dead. I don't know why. Because you know why? I'll tell you why. Because there were two guys at the trunk, only two guys.
Right.
And then they get in the car, and all of a sudden you see this third person. Like, where did he come from? I go, okay. So now, as you're watching the movie, to me, that I knew right away he was the one that was going to die. I don't know how.
I didn't see that.
I didn't know how.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I saw as the movie progressed. So now it flashes back to prior to this death, and as it started to progress,
a week before,
7 days, right?
Yeah.
As it started to progress, I just thought it was going to be Vikram because he was such an awful character that he was going to get killed. That's kind of what I thought. And look, the movie it's like a lot of these Indian movies, like Stars on Earth. The first hour is brutal to the little kid, right? Well, in this film, the entire movie is brutal to shoot to. Everybody's bullying him
like crap. Yeah,
and you could see what was happening in building, and then there's foreshadowing. The rifle, he's going to clean the rifle.
Let's explain a little bit.
Show a gun in the first act.
Let's explain a little bit more that they come to a family vacation. So it's a family vacation. Like he's with his cousins and his niece. His mother, he's back in the other, we find out early in the film.
It's his mother's sister's house.
Right, his aunt's house. They're having a family vacation for New Year's. I guess it's post-Christmas, the week between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know, how it's celebrated in India. I don't know but this is New Year's. They're definitely there for New Year's. Mm-hmm. So it's family dynamics going on through the whole, this stuff going on through the whole.
And they brought a friend too, the girl.
Okay, I got to admit.
Was Mimi not related to those people?
No, she was.
By the way,
wait a minute. Wait. I thought she was possibly the one guy's wife's sister, the one who had the little girl.
That's what I thought she was related somehow.
I think they said that she was just a friend.
I think she's just a friend because I think that it's kind of interesting.
Very friendly.
Extremely. But at one point in the movie, they make the point of saying that she had a foreign mother. I think they make that point that she is. So I don't think that she's definitely not blood related to anybody there. Maybe a close friend, what have you.
Well, she also had a thing with what's his name, Vikram.
Well,
Vikram,
okay,
yeah.
so they set up. You're right. Yeah. They set up this thing. The family's getting together. Vikram walks in. He's the stud of the neighborhood for some reason. Right. They call him royalty. He's the
who just got married.
Right. He's the big guy. And immediately he walks in, grabs Mimi, goes in a room, and they start sucking face.
Right.
And our guy,
he's just married too.
He's just married. Sees that. So we've got this whole kind of weird dynamic going on. Right away as the film, it doesn't take that long. Remember, the film's only an hour 40 minutes, so it's streaming along pretty good.
It jumps right into it. Yeah.
All right, so we're at that point. Then you want to talk about the seance that happens. Oh,
well, that's another.
First, I just want to say, once Mimi's relationship was very curious to me, especially after she starts becoming involved with Sutu. But it was sort of like I had to rewatch the beginning of the film just to try to get the clues of like exactly how they were related. And I'm not even sure. I know the one thing I'm certain is that he's the nephew of the woman who runs the house, because that's her sister. His mother is her sister.
Right.
because the word aunt and uncle is used a great bit. And at one point, not Vikram, but the other guy calls himself, I'm your brother.
Nandu, because that little girl's his niece. The little girl's his niece.
Nandu was his brother.
Yeah. Was really his brother?
Yeah.
I think so, because...
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought... Okay.
Or his wife is her brother.
No, he was...
Okay.
Nandu
Well,
was his brother.
Because they kept saying he left his mother all alone there.
Right.
And it's sort of like, why are they blaming him if this other guy's his brother?
That's what I mean. That's what I think.
Well, because he got out and got married and had a kid and did what he was supposed to do.
He should be back taking care of the mother.
Okay, I was a little confused about that. But I was mainly hoping that Mimi was not blood related to some of these guys.
No.
Well, I don't think she was. I think you're right. I think, yeah.
It's not that kind of story, Sean.
I'm from, the Appalachians aren't too far.
I understand.
Yeah. All right, so this family gathers together for this celebration. We meet Vikram, who's a dick, having an affair with this Mimi while his brand new wife is coming in. And then there's this whole side thing with the servants who are taking care of the family, right? Who are always outside of watching all this stuff that's going on. And the other thing we see is that when Sakru gets in there, the first thing he does is he puts his dead father's sweater on, that brown sweater. So through the whole film, except for New Year's Eve, he's wearing this brown sweater. And it turns out this guy may be slightly obsessed with death. He's showing dead moths to his niece. He's killing bugs and burying the bugs, and they're doing this and there's a whole graveyard scene that comes later with Mimi, that this guy is kind of always floating around death. So what they do is they decide to have a seance. To bring up some spirits, and he's the one protesting the whole thing. He's like, how do you know you're not hurting these dead people? Why are we doing this? And of course, Vikram's just being a dick, and he's got a can tied to his leg, right? And he's
But they were all on it. They were all in on it.
They were all in on it, and they basically, the seance ends with, who's the first one that's going to die here? And they point right to this kid, this 23-year-old, who... we find out they don't know yet that he's failed out of college. So he's lying to everybody that everything's going great, everything's fine. So, and he has that dream where that night where someone comes in with a rifle,
right,
pull a blanket and he's dead. So, but it's from he's having that dream. So this kid's obsessed with death, and they're picking on him.
Well, everybody is.
Everybody's except the niece up until
Well.
Till
the niece end. Is the true villain of this film.
Ultimately, she's the one that turns.
The niece is Tani.
I don't know if she is or the two servants are, but
Tani.
All right, so the seance happens, and now it's just really we're watching this, and we haven't talked about the old uncle who's sitting there with the rifles on the wall, and I guess he passed away because they dedicated. By the way, the credits on this thing take 8 minutes of the.
Well, he's a legend.
He is a legend, right? Yeah.
He passed in 2017.
I think we've seen him in films
and he was
we've
like
watched.
A great character. When the girl was missing, he's like, she's probably been eaten by now or something.
So we're jumping all over the place, and I'm sorry, but it's this is what makes this movie kind of fascinating. And so and there's a whole scene about the tree with everybody's name on it except his. And ultimately, that's the tree that pops up at the end.
Yeah, it's pretty heavily foreshadowed that it's going to be him.
Yeah.
So I actually was thinking maybe they're going to go the other way, and that he was going to shoot somebody else.
That's what I thought.
That's because
the girl disappeared. I'm like, oh my god, I hope they didn't kill the girl.
Yeah, I know, because that wouldn't be completely out of bounds for some of the movies we've seen where young people end up dying pretty horribly. But you know, one of the things I really enjoyed about this film was I thought it looked great. Just from the cinematography was fantastic. There's a couple of scenes, I've always mentioned motorcycles a couple of times before on this podcast, but when he and Mimi are on that bike riding, and I was just like, yeah, I need to get another motorcycle.
Hi.
Man,
Yeah, but he's driving. He's
looking great,
Yeah, but he's smelling the back of her hair, and his eyes are closed. I don't understand how he can drive like that. Yeah. She's in front of him on that bike.
Yeah,
I would be dead if I have a motorcycle.
I watched a great because I really wanted to get some insight into the film, so I watched some YouTube videos, and someone mentioned that this is like the hero's journey, like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, Star Wars, any movie about a hero just turned upside down. That we all expected that he was going to be the hero of this film. That I thought that he was going to end up shooting or doing something to Vikram or somebody, that this guy was going to be the one that was going to have his day, and he was going to be the hero, and it turns out they completely flipped that.
See, I didn't get the vibe that he was going to be a hero. Because
you didn't think he was going to stand up because Vikram was being such an a-hole that ultimately.
Yeah, but like
or maybe he'd find the girl, something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it may be, but like in my view, it's like Vikram's one of these kind of classic movie bad guys where he's not like an evil bad guy. He's just kind of a dick. You know what I mean?
He's a douchebag, yeah.
Yeah, he's not like.
Well, he's like Ben Affleck in that text, all right. What's that movie?
Oh, Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused, where he's the asshole, frat guy.
Yeah, the
exactly.
all right movie, sure.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I don't remember things.
But I mean,
can't
like,
remember
he
names in
doesn't.
movies.
I mean, I don't see him as like this huge villain.
You knew what I was saying.
I
You
did.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I would have liked to have seen him, kind of come into his own and maybe just leave. Basically just toss them all aside and say, I've got to go live my own life. And maybe that would have been the hero's journey that we were looking for, kind of overcoming his family as a villain.
Was everyone in the family bad, though, would you say?
What'd you
about
say?
the aunt? The aunt was expressed genuine concern for him.
Yeah, I mean,
but they all treated him like crap.
She was ordering him around like a servant.
Even the aunt was
points.
giving him shit about not getting to the mother. Everybody in this film, including the niece, ultimately treated this kid like shit.
Yeah, they were very controlling.
And Mimi was the worst. You talk about the villain is the little girl.
Yeah. I'd say Mimi's
the one that really put him over the edge when she just dissed him.
I disagree with. I think the little kid turning on him.
That was rough. And I don't know why she turned.
And if you notice, right after that, that's when the ending happened.
She turned on him because he left her.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, she was
That's
jealous.
Why she's
It's
the
like
true villain.
it's like atonement. This kid makes a decision, and everything kind of comes apart from that.
Yeah.
And when he went to say he was sorry, and she turned around in the bed away from him.
Oh, she said, "Get him
because
out of
look,
here."
this
I know,
movie,
that's
you
brutal.
felt it was just the weight of the world on this kid who was a sweet guy, but let's be honest, he's using a magnifying glass to kill bugs in front of him.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
So there's something a little screwy there, right?
Who
But out
hasn't?
of all the characters, he was probably the most innocent and the sweetest. But you could see as the movie progressed, it was getting worse and worse and worse till he hooks up with Mimi. The first time, okay, drunken stupor, right? But then they did it again. So now he feels like a ray of hope, right? A little bit of sunshine here.
Again.
And that's when I thought, to Chris's point, okay, there's a light here at the end of the tunnel. Maybe this is what's going to turn it around. And of course, all it did was make it worse. And then when, as a result of him being with her, the little girl ran away. And what I thought, to be perfectly honest with you, when Vikram found her, I thought he was the one that did something to like hide her or something to make himself look better. And that's what I thought was going to be the situation where he was going to end up killing him. Not that's what I thought. So then when that all flipped, and then as soon as this is when you knew, Ralph knew from 2 seconds into the movie, but I knew once the father was out there with the gun at target practice.
The uncle.
And the uncle.
His uncle, yeah.
And he wanted to grab the gun. That's when you knew what was
Well,
gonna
if you
happen.
watch
the desperation.
film, the symbolism is amazing. This is why I love this film. So he's wearing his father's shirt through the whole film, except for New Year's Eve. He puts a green shirt on, which is life. And he goes to the graveyard with Mimi. He's wearing the green shirt. And she does that whole thing at the gravesite where and he's like freaking out that she's kind of making light of the fact that woman was there mourning her dead child.
Taking the offering.
But he still went at her. They implied that they had sex in the leaves or whatever and then he comes back and all hell breaks loose. He comes back and that's when they realize the little girl is missing and then the brown shirt, I think he kills himself in the brown shirt at the tree, but the fact that the director did that kind of stuff is just blew my mind. And
directorial debut.
Directorial debut. It's a pretty. You talk about
Very
a short debut.
one.
Yeah, talk about it. She did it, and she said, I was watching some stuff about her. She just let them do. She just shot it and let them act, and they all got into their roles and stuff, and just really played them out very, very well. This film got me, and obviously the length is fantastic. So there's that part of it.
It was also 70% in English.
In English, shot in basically one location. And I saw another video where they talked about the Big Chill. Now, the Big Chill starts with a suicide, right? And all these people having this conversation in houses where really nothing goes on in this film. The only motivation that changes is his. His. Mimi's not going to change. Vikram isn't going to change. None of these people are going to change. And this kid was in the middle of this. And that seance thing that they did, the way they all went at him, to me was the most brutal scene of the film. Now,
because he's the only one that has any kind of reservation about doing the seance, and it seems so weird because it's like,
well, he just
maybe the guys here on the podcast are a little older than me. Like, I remember like the Ouija board, right? Like I remember Ouija boards and stuff like that, but like. Seances, like, I get the vibe sometimes, like in the 70s, that seems like a 70s thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know at the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, that was a big deal.
I would never do a seance. I don't care. And I don't believe in, but that's not something I'd mess with.
It seems like, but I mean, here's a guy who's lost his dad, and even his own brother seems to be pretty hey, he's 23, he needs to grow up, he's not
needs to get over it,
old, and he seems to be pretty harsh about it. I mean, I guess it was his father too, so, but like you said, he's married, he's got a kid, he's obviously a good bit older. I mean, Tani has got to be at least 10, 11 years old, so I mean, he's probably that older brother in a if he was 23 when his dad died or whatever, or 22, you got to figure that guy's at least 10 years older.
Well, we don't know how long the dad was. We have no idea how long.
I get the sense it was recent.
Recent because the sweater was still there.
Yeah. And I mean, his
or the mother would have been there, probably would have gone to this thing too if it wasn't recent as well.
I forget. Did they foreshadow the bloody tree anywhere in this? I don't remember.
Well, they foreshadowed the tree.
I know the tree.
Well, I mean, he left his mark on the tree at the end, where previously he didn't have a mark on the tree. No, so you could read it like that, I guess.
I thought maybe in the trailer. I saw it in the trailer. That might have been what I saw was the blood on the tree. So, yeah. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that. I mean, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Like you said, it was weird and it was mostly in English.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting. It looked fantastic. I mean, just the one shot that really stands out in my mind is the shot when he's going down that dirt path and the trees have kind of grown over together, and it's this perfect tunnels kind of surrounded by green. That's just fantastic. And like I said, the stuff on the motorcycle is great. But I really, one of the funny things was, and I'm really happy it didn't go this way. Not that Shutu dies, but I really thought he was going to shoot Mimi for a minute and a half there. I really thought he was going to shoot Mimi, and I thought it was going to be kind of a little bit of a, hey, she got what she deserves because she's kind of a promiscuous woman,
I
was going to get a little bit puritanical.
I was thinking Vikram the whole time. He's going to kill Vikram. Yeah.
I actually thought that in that scene, you remember he starts pointing the gun at people. And I don't remember, Nandu, somebody yells like, get inside, and all of the women and kids that he's yelling at stay there.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really believe anything was going to happen.
I don't know how you guys
that's how they look at Shuchu, I think.
I don't know how you missed it. I was wondering when he's going to die. I thought it was going to be in that.
Ralph.
What?
You're psychic.
I'm not psychic.
Listen, that can happen.
It felt obvious to me.
I dated a woman who saw The Sixth Sense in the theater, and she liked it, and after the movie everybody was talking about how they had no idea, and she was like, no, obviously he was dead the whole time. Like, she just saw it, she didn't realize that was the mystery. And when you watch it again, then you see there's clues everywhere. But
I've told the story before, but my friends came back and go, it's a great Bruce Willis is dead, right? And they go, huh? Have you seen the movie? I go, no. But I mean, I'm not saying for some reason.
No, if you see through it, you see through it. That happens.
I didn't see through it, but it was just like it seemed obvious to me. But
no, you saw through the misdirect, because why would he be dead if he's sitting in the back street?
Right.
Yeah, and because that's how they ended the film too. The film ended with the exact.
That's why I
shot.
thought.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
now you know he's a ghost.
Now here's what I was confused by. Okay, so the
Unfinished business. As
the
he said.
pit that he fell into when he's looking for his niece is a grave. But what's the deal with the wolf? What is the wolf
I didn't
representing?
think it was a grave. Was
I
it?
thought it was an
No,
animal
it's
trap.
not a grave. No. Metaphorically, it's a grave for him. It's a wolf trap. Because the servants mentioned this wolf is out here. We got to catch this wolf. What was that about? Like the wolf looking down at him while he's down
Maybe
in
the
there.
wolf realized that
It's me.
he was going to die anyway, so he doesn't have to go after him.
Life. The wolf is life or something.
guess.
What is? Yeah.
Isn't that
Wolf
Sean
is death,
Connery?
and it's like, oh, you're already dead.
Before he died in Extraordinary.
Oh, that's why he didn't
League of
attack him, because
Extraordinary
he's
Gentlemen.
already dead meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What
Or
did-
the
what did-
might have
wait.
just said, I'm not going to jump in there because maybe I can't get back out.
John
Or
just
he's
quoted.
just not worthy prey, maybe.
John just quoted the greatest movie ever made. What was that quote from
The
that
League
movie?
of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
And he said, when the wolf looked at him, it wasn't his time, is what he said. And then at the end, it was his time.
Yeah.
So it could have been.
That's the only scene that I was like, okay, why? I don't understand that one.
But the whole, this tells you how Shudu was so dismissed, right? They find that
They don't even notice he's gone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They find the daughter, and no one. In fact, the brother even took off on him,
Just
even though he was in
drove
the
away.
woods looking for the daughter. So he's in this pit the whole night, and they're acting like everything's fine, even though he's not there. Where
was
is he? Where is
ignored.
he?
He was ignored
Till the
right there.
servant went out
And
and
found,
found
it.
him.
Yeah.
Well, they
And that
told
was the whole movie.
They didn't even go out themselves. They told
That's
the
what I'm
servants to go
saying.
look
They
for
sent
him.
the
Right.
servant out.
Right.
And the funny thing is like, and it's another, there's a really small part in the film where, she gets the puppy, right? Fluffy, the puppy.
Yeah.
They talked about all the horrible things that have happened to the other animals. They
Yeah, that
have.
made me very tense.
Yeah. And so, but what I did like was, did you notice later on, it's the servants, the puppy is with them. And
She did.
they're
The little
feeding-
girl didn't even care about the puppy. The
Yeah,
little
and
girl.
they're feeding the servant.
The little girl's like the
servant
rest of the
going-
family. They treated the
That's
puppy
right.
like
She
it was,
is the true villain of this piece.
might-
I don't
John,
think
you
you're
might be
wrong,
right.
John.
The puppy Sutu.
Danny.
Tell him to go, Ma.
It's okay, Babu. Go to sleep.
I thought it was Mimi because she really
If
played with
that
him.
kid didn't turn her back on him, he wouldn't have killed himself.
I think you might be
because
right.
You
because
might
that
be right about
relationship,
That may have
that
been
was the only good relationship he had in that entire family.
It seemed the only honest relationship until the
Yeah.
end.
And she loved him. She worshipped him.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
why
don't
she
think-
was so upset when he left with Mimi.
Yeah, I don't
She was
think
so
Mimi's
upset.
the villain. She's selfish and wants to make her married boyfriend jealous. That doesn't make her evil.
And he
but
wasn't
Shutu is just
complaining when they were
useful to
rocking on
her.
the chair.
No, she was. I found that actress quite attractive. I have to
She
say.
was in
she
Gully
was-
Boy. She was good.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Sounded kind of promiscuous for an Indian.
Yeah, we like that.
Well, it was I
It
love
was
that.
all those-
I love the shot of the tapping chair on that
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That is about as racy as you get in those movies.
I mean, but it was beautifully.
Well,
shot.
they also had oral sex in that other scene, and I was like, okay, this is a lot.
That's what that
for
was,
the
right? I
movies
was
we've been
like,
watching.
that seemed like what that came out of nowhere.
Do you need me to explain that to you?
No, I understand oral sex, but when the servant's
Okay.
knocking on the door and she picks her head up and
Well, she
he was,
picks her head up into the frame, and it's like, oh, they're doing that. Okay, cool.
Right. yeah. So
I didn't know
I,
they had that in India.
no, they come on.
Just because it's not in the
They
movies,
don't
doesn't mean
show it
doesn't
in the
happen.
films. Yes, I mean that guy. I mean he's a cheating bastard. Like
And it's sort of like everyone ignores it except what Nantu's wife. The wife gets pissed off when she's like, "Oh, hey, how
yeah.
you doing?" And she's like, "You only come and visit us when Mimi's with us."
and then when
Well,
they did meet,
that
when they
was
met
like-
his wife, they were kind of dismissive of her, Vikram's wife. They
Yeah,
were kind of
a little bit,
dismissive
but
of her.
also Vikram was kind of turning. Why Mimi started focusing on the young guy is that Vikram was kind of ignoring her because the wife's around, and
well, because the wife was there.
I understand. So she starts.
let that get in the way.
I was watching her on some talk show. She's like, "Look, I was a 30-year-old unmarried woman, looking for attention." She was, she's drinking all the time. She's looking for attention from males. And when he was ignoring her, she turns to the, "Oh look, completely vulnerable, poor bastard. And that thing where he goes, "I want to come to I forget Calcutta and meet you."
Calcutta,
And
yeah.
that's when I said, okay, you're right. The little girl really put the nail in the coffin, but it started with Mimi going, "Why?"
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Take care of your studies.
But the whole family did it to him. The whole family did it to him.
Wait, Sean, what did you say, Sean?
Even his mother did it.
Wait, Ralph. Sean, what did you say?
Didn't she say you should be focusing on your studies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She basically said, "Hey, man, don't bother. You need to do something. You need to get yourself together."
Yeah.
Right.
See, she cared about him. I just
she cared about it.
Yeah. No, that was tough for him.
When she was making the move on him, that's when I had to say, "Wait a minute, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the film and try to make sure that she isn't like a cousin, because that would have."
Well, I was wondering that too, because they all seem to be related. So I guess she was not related to anybody there, or she was the
They introduced her as a friend, if I remember
Okay.
at the beginning. They introduced her as a friend.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure which way the story was going to go. Was it going to be like Dan in real life, where there's a family event, but there are people outside of it, and it becomes a like sort of bittersweet romance, or does it become what it was, which is a really sad story?
Yeah.
And I mean, I related a lot to Shutu in terms of the stuff that was depicted, and being picked last, and feeling left out, and feeling outside your family, and being made to feel that way, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was really well done. I thought that Vikrant Massey, is that his name?
Yeah.
Like, what a beautiful, quiet performance in a movie with a lot of great performances. And also, you wanted to know why it was set in the 70s. I think it was set in the 70s because it's inspired by a story that the director heard from her mother, because the movie is based on a short story that it's not her father, it's her mother's ex-husband wrote. And when they were on vacation with the family sometime in the 70s, they did a seance, and they asked who would die first, and then the guy who they said would die first got all freaked out, and then later got hit by a train. So he did in fact die first, and they don't know if it was suicide or not. So that is a true event that inspired it. And it's just simpler to write a story like that and set it in an era where you don't have GPS and cell phones and stuff, which is of course most of human existence. So I thought, and also we talked earlier about seances and stuff. I don't believe any of those things. I don't touch Ouija boards. I don't know what it is.
I'm with you.
That freaks me out. I'd rather bury it in the yard.
Jeez, I've done that a few times back in the day.
People use Ouija boards. They use planchettes, and they do a seance. And I wasn't sure for a little while as they got into the seance. I wasn't sure if that was going to kind of take over the movie, that it was that kind of story, which it turns out it is that kind of story at the end.
Yeah.
But I thought, is this going to be like The Others, the Nicole Kidman movie? Spoiler alert, she's the dead one, and the seance is trying to reach her. I wasn't sure.
No,
I wasn't sure where they were going to go, but it was simpler. It was simpler than that, and appropriately so.
Well, the trailer really, and also that dance they do after the seance came off like a Race with the Devil, right? Where they're all dancing around the fire, singing about dead people. Right? So you're thinking it's going to go in this like crazy exorcist kind of Race with the Devil thing where there's a cult. You realize those two servants are actually in a cult and everybody, but no, it didn't do that. It's just
their local culture. Yeah.
It's just
but there was a blurb at the beginning about something to do with the supernatural. I remember that. So as the movie went on, I'm like, okay, so
I think that might be the same, but also Smoking Kills came up every 10 minutes.
Well, that was
that is the 70s.
A cigarette, my God.
So
Mimi
can smoke those cigarettes. She looked smoking us. And the little girl, that's the whole thing. You realize is that a metaphor for something that she grabs a cigarette and starts smoking? Now she becomes like everybody else.
She didn't.
It's hard when you're the only kid. You want to be with the adults,
right?
Well, then that's part of why when one of the adults picked another adult instead of you're going to run off and be all
But they did make a point of they zoomed in on the cigarette box when she walked away. The camera zoomed in on that box.
She took it out and then put it back, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what's the significance of that the camera's zooming in on it? Is that going to another piece of because foreshadowing was all over.
It's just she's smoking a cigarette. I think she
didn't smoke it though.
She held it up like she was fake, like she was smoking. Yeah, that's what I mean. She was faking it.
Okay,
she was trying to be an adult.
Didn't you get anything out of that movie?
All I got was smoking kills every time they picked up a cigarette. Kills. So
it reminds me of almost like remember candy cigarettes?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Used to have You know, they looked
They don't
like,
sell
like
those
candy
anymore, do they?
cigarettes.
Well, the bubblegum ones, you could blow the sugar
I was
out.
just at a place, Berlin, Maryland. I was in some little gift shop, and they actually still sell the
They still
candy
have those,
cigarettes.
yeah.
Oh wow.
You can find them. Most places don't sell them anymore.
Do they have the your fetus will be defective warning on it and stuff?
But I want to tell you, if you
Scare
want
the
to
hell
watch
out of their
smoking, watch Maestro. You know, they should have that.
Yeah,
smoking.
there's a lot of smoking
Listen,
in that movie.
It's like,
Cat-
I'm watching it. That's what I'm like. Oh my god, I have never seen this much smoking in a film.
lot.
That's been
No,
later.
Kathleen Turner made smoking look super sexy in Body Heat. Like it's.
Oh, yeah.
What the hell is she doing?
Yeah.
All right, so I just think, first of all, again, the length was like amazing. It's just incredible, and this was a more realistic. This is like a '70s film, basically. Someone like the hero dies. The guy we think is going to be the hero is the one
John
that
Sayles could have done
he
this.
kills himself with the rifle, the uncle's rifle. I mean, how more nihilistic can you be than that ending? I mean, what's it
front of
saying?
the whole-
What is the message of the film?
What is the message?
Toxic masculinity, bullying, mental health. Seriously.
I don't think it's so much about toxic masculinity
I
as
do.
about all of those things that you just said inside the family.
In the
Yeah.
family dynamic.
That is like a specific.
Who can hurt you the
angle on
most?
it.
Who can
Right.
hurt you the most? The
That's a
people who know
specific
you the
angle.
best.
And he chose to go there. His
Well, he was
relationship,
run- but he was
with
running
mother
away.
He was
decided
running
there.
away. Yeah,
He was
Yeah,
running
he was
away,
running away.
Sean. That,
Yeah.
The mother even said that. You know,
Yeah.
he ran away from, he was lying to everybody, But I think it was all that rolled into one. It was just, maybe it's true, but I it's so hard to believe that the only one that was even really nice to him was the little girl, and even that stopped. That's what I mean. It was just relentless how much they bullied him.
Well, the uncle was defending him. The uncle was a bit heading towards
But he
senility.
was in and out, and he was drinking a lot. But
He
they
was right, but until the end when he pulled the gun from him, that's
Yeah.
when the uncle,
Yeah.
obviously. But
yeah.
but yeah, I guess. I mean, to me,
the
it's-
driving lesson, picking teams for what was the game they were playing?
Kabaddi.
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 Oh my god, that's what I was thinking. I never saw anyone actually play kabaddi except when I was doing World Sports. I was editing it, and we did this big kabaddi mock.
Is that a real game? What is the game?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
What is
huge
the
in
point
India.
of the game? What is the point of the game?
It's much more interesting than it appears in this.
Yeah,
movie.
it's about basically getting the other side out, trying to cross the lane. It's kind of one of those deceptively simple games. I've never seen it.
But that's
outside
something to
this
do about
movie, but I learned
breathing.
about it.
Something about breathing. You can't.
You had to
breathe in
say
between?
Kabaddi over and over again
Kabaddi.
while you were wrestling or whatever you're calling it. So you had to do that.
So
And
we
that's
thought
when the
that
guy-
was going to be his. Like he was going to beat Vikram in that one. That's what I was.
Well,
thinking.
yeah,
I
until
didn't-
Vikram beat
I
the
didn't think
crap
so.
out of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, he
That
had
was one of the
him.
cooler moments.
right. But Vikram can't lose.
That's
Vikram
right.
is a as
He
we
couldn't
said,
let him win, and he
a
hurt him.
douchebag. Yeah,
Right,
He's an alpha male.
right.
He's a
Exactly.
preening, insecure, exactly what you would expect him to do in that situation. Which is why it's just, I don't want him to get shot, but it is a little bit gratifying at the end to see him actually afraid
Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
there might be a consequence of my bullying. And in fact, there was a consequence of his bullying,
Totally,
but he
all of them.
survived to see it happen. I mean, he watched this guy blow his own head off and got blood on his face. And like, that was,
Okay.
But in fairness
pretty
to that
crazy.
character, you could see at the end he had genuine concern.
oh yeah,
the guy.
All right, but,
absolutely.
but
that.
speaking about that, the
But
tone
too
of the
late.
film, that starts where the trunk opens up, and those two guys, Vikram's friend, I think his
Yeah.
name was Mike, I forget his name, and the brother,
Brian or something.
Brian, right, are looking in the trunk, and they're kind of going. And first of all, can they just take a body away like that out of the morgue? Number one. Two, they're going, oh, I guess we got to twist him. We got to
It
twist
wasn't
him
they're
out of the
taking
morgue. It was out of the house.
I thought they were taking it to
No,
the morgue.
it was the morgue. It was
No, the
hospital
morgue. When they pulled away, they showed the sign of the morgue in the hospital.
It said hospital/morgue.
Oh, they
Oh,
took
so they were
the
taking
body
him home,
from
I
the
guess.
Yeah,
morgue?
number one.
Okay.
The tone
got
of
it.
that was like weird. Like, oh, they're treating this like what? Like,
Well,
like
they said
this-
we got to put it in the fetal position. Too.
right. They're treating it like Goodfellas. Like, what do
Yeah.
you do? We got now. I guess so. And then secondly, where are they taking? Are they just taking him back home to bury him? I guess.
I think so. I think that's what they're showing.
Well, don't they
you.
burn them? Isn't that what they do? They burn them. Don't
I
they?
think these were Christians. I don't think they were.
Oh.
Hindus.
That's right. Because
I don't know what their ritual was.
No, they're doing Christmas. They're doing New Year. I don't know.
No, but they took him home. I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah,
so.
but that tone of that first scene, the tone of the first scene, like it's different than the rest of the film. Like we're thinking we're looking at a Tarantino film.
Yeah,
that's the misdirect.
Right.
You're waiting for the crime drama to start.
Right.
You're waiting for the murder and cover up and maybe some hijinks or something.
Exactly.
And it's a nifty, quiet little drama. It's not that movie. And the fact that it's not that movie, that it started with that misdirect, and you don't end up at the end being irritated that it wasn't that movie because you like what they did, that tells me like, okay, that shows. Good job. That's a great. It's a really well done. Exercise there.
Good directing, good acting. Like you're involved in the family. You're realizing what the dynamics are.
You're waiting for the death. I mean, for those of us who didn't know right away, you're waiting.
And it's amazing because she pointed to it every time she had the chance. The director.
Once it got going.
No, she did it in the first shot. He puts the dead dad's sweater on.
Yeah.
The whole seance thing. He's dead in his dream, and they show some shadow with a rifle. She's pointing to it the whole time.
And no, it's like red doorknobs in Sixth Sense. It's all through there.
Yeah.
But you can see it. You can see it coming a little more as it goes through the movie, which makes it sadder because there's an inevitability to it, and you don't really think like, oh, the wolf's going to kill him, but you feel the specter of his looming death very, very intensely.
Well, you don't want to see the only likable character.
Yeah, we're all rooting for this guy. That's the amazing thing. That's the beauty.
Well, because his family is really, really unkind to him, and he's in a very vulnerable state already, and he's a sensitive guy, and like the fact that he ended up with a gun in his hand is not shocking. You really don't know which way it's going to go unless you like you said, Ralph, like you figured out it was him at the beginning, but then at the end when he's essentially a ghost in the back of the car, you think back to the seance, and they talked about, maybe he has unfinished business, maybe it hurts you if you call them, I don't know, but he is still there. And I think that's fair because I think, for example, he will always be part of Vikram's life. He will always be part of this family story.
All of them.
And hopefully they will learn something from the tragedy, because the whole thing is just very sad. And, you wonder, like, what will Tani grow up to be like? Because this will shape her whole life. Yeah. And that'll be, good and bad. Might as well
pull the trigger herself.
What do you think? I mean,
I don't know that I would charge her with murder, but I understand where you're coming from.
No. And when they
all drove him to that level of loneliness and fear and frustration. Because why? I mean, what did he really not want them to find out? He really wanted them not to find out that he failed at school.
Right.
Like, I'd rather kill myself than have to say that, because the family, he never told them that. He just got pushed and pushed and pushed.
It is amazing how little slights like that. You just, as a family, you just don't think about it. You don't think about it. And if you've got somebody, that scene where he's got his face buried in the wall, where somebody, I think his brother found him.
His brother.
What is going on with Zoom? All of a sudden, like if you put hearts up now, it's something like I just switched. Our things just switched. John, I'm in your slot. You're in my slot. I don't know how this happened.
It's because you raised your hand.
What the hell is going on?
That's like, so I can call on you in the work meeting.
I can't now, and Zoom is not letting me move the video. So John, you're in the middle square now. Enjoy the.
Well, if John do the,
I want to say one thing about the movie.
Go ahead.
He seemed so out of place and disrespected. It made me think he wasn't invited, that he just showed up there. But if the other guy was really his brother, it seemed like it was a legitimate family gathering, that he should be there. But it's like he was definitely dismissed the entire time.
Well, I don't think
even the day he arrived, it's like, oh hi, hey, turn off the lights, do this with the car.
Oh, yeah, they were surprised to see him though. I don't think he might not have been invited, but it's not like when he showed up they didn't want him there. Do you know what I mean? Because that came right up to him, So maybe he wasn't invited, but I think they're okay with him being there.
Yeah, I got the kind of feeling that this was kind of like a standing
invitation
family tradition, and it's like those who can make
for New Year's, sure.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we all get together at this place, we all hang out for the week, and because you did get the vibe that in a lot of cases, oh, we haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah.
How are his studies going and things like
But
that.
yeah, hey, you weren't up here for the wedding, but it's like,
Right.
Yeah, you missed the wedding, but you make this. It's kind of how in most, at least in a lot of families I know, mine included. Sometimes you get to that point where it's like you start to only see your cousins and stuff at like weddings and funerals.
Right.
That seems to be the things that draw you together. Those kind of
Unless you throw big 60th birthday.
Yeah, I was just going to say, unless you throw your own birthday party. Yeah.
yeah.
well, in my family,
You got them together, John, and that's what's important, right?
That's
in
nice.
my family, like everyone pulled a holiday. Like my one cousin had Christmas breakfast, and the other person had Thanksgiving. And my aunt and uncle, who have a place on the water, have like 4 holidays. And it's like there are all these different holidays, and it's like once I got married, I'm like, I'm old enough now. I should have my own holiday.
All I know is
All taken.
nobody can hurt you the most except your family.
What?
Nobody
can hurt you
can
more
hurt
than
you
your
the
family.
most than your family because they know exactly where to go to get that wound to open up again.
Yeah.
And and I just love. I think this film this is renews my spirit in this stuff, and I just love the film.
Well, there's another thing that's going on with the movie that I became aware of, but I'm not going to say that I know that it's part of the story or even if it matters, but it's very specific, the title and where it's set. And it's set in McCluskey Gunj. And I was like, what is McCluskey Gunj? Well, it turns out part of Indian population is the Anglo-Indian population. So you're either of mixed heritage, you're an Indian person who was born and raised in England and then came to India, or you were a white English person who was born and raised in India. There are not as many of those since the independence in 47, but there was a guy named McCluskey who purchased a bunch of land and then sold shares of it and said, I'm going to build an Anglo-Indian town. So I don't know if the people in the movie are supposed to be, is that part of why they're so different from their servants? Is that part of why there's just a whole other level of culture in there? Because it could have been a death in any random small part of India that we've seen in, a dozen other movies, but they specifically picked that area. And I just thought it was, honestly, it's just another opportunity to learn something interesting about the world that we've been exploring.
They were all speaking English in the film. I mean, a lot of like you guys are saying, 80%, 90%, yeah. And
because it came on with the English track, and I was like, I don't want this. And then I was like, oh no, that's the only track. But okay, I don't need the subtitles. But then you didn't do the subtitles for the Hindi, so I had to turn it on. So
right. But the people taking care of them definitely looked like they were
not Anglo-Indian.
That's right.
And there's a whole caste thing going on there that I'm not going to pretend that I understand, but I was aware of the regard of them as lesser. And that's the Downton Abbey thing that we as Americans don't think we have in this country because it's not formal, and it was clearly very formal in this movie.
Yeah. All right, so second to last one. What's the next one, John? We have one more on the wheel.
Kahani.
Kahani?
Mm-hmm.
How do you spell
2012.
that? Okay.
Kahanni.
Okay. Well, we'll watch that one next. We don't have to spin for that one. Let's rate this one. You guys want to rate it or?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. John.
Oh, you gotta start with me.
Of course. Sean, it's 1 to 5. Okay.
I still think there were cheats in this film, but I have to say that it really held my interest, and I am becoming a big fan of Vikrant Massey. So I'll give it a 4. I'll give it 4 Ladoos.
Sean?
Out of 5?
Yeah.
Out of 5, Sean. Yes.
Out of 7.
Okay, I will say 5 out of 7. I really liked it, but I felt I had to go back and watch the beginning again just to halfway through just to solidify my knowledge of the relationships. And I'm not going to blame the filmmakers on that because maybe I missed it. But so I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 too. I was kind of pissed at the end, because of the cheat, but I think that it earned it. I do really think it earned what it got, and I liked it. And I could see this guy being like driven to where he was, based on the way he's been treated by essentially everyone.
Yeah.
They all seem concerned about him for the last minute and a half of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't care about him much before.
They were way more worried about their life in the last minute.
Yeah.
Not so much his.
Which is reasonable.
They were worried about him turning. Yeah, of course. Drew, what do you think?
I'd give it. I think I'd give it 4 Ledoux's. I think it has by the end of it has a very clear goal that it has achieved. It's about things that I think are very relatable across any human family experience. And, I'm a sucker for these directorial debuts that are just really good. And it's interesting. It's another Indian film industry, multi-generational dynasty of actor, writer, director, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting because it makes me go, okay, well, let me learn about the rest of this family. Who is Aparna Sen? Have I seen her in other stuff? Because this just keep extending. And I would recommend it as one of those movies that I wouldn't start with it if you've never watched Indian movies, but I think it's quite accessible. It's funny though, because you can't say the genre accurately if you want to give it away, because it's a family drama, but you have to say it's a mystery or it's a crime movie because that's what it wants you to think that it is.
It's like
what is the genre? Yeah,
it's an independent. It's like an independent.
Yeah, it's like an indie film. That's fair. Yeah. That's good. Yeah,
it definitely doesn't have the.
And that's not an insult. That's just
no. It's that sort of like like this type of family observed drama type of thing.
Yeah. But it was also like a Malayalam film. It was a little Malayalam because it was a little more grounded.
I was about to say it reminded me of the Kalabangi Nights or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Kumbalangi Nights. Yeah, I felt that, and also the soundtrack, the guitar and everything. Yeah. I liked Kumbalangi Nights even better. But
I think
that was one of my top.
But 10. Even more grounded than those. This felt real to me. Like those movies still have a tinge of like the magical, whatever we call the, magical realism. This one had none of that. There was no magical realism. The wolf was the only time I went, ooh, I don't quite.
But what's funny is Kumbalangi Nights has a huge left turn at the end into really insanity and murder and all this kind of stuff. And this movie is like, well, we're going to do the other thing. We're going to tease that, and then that's not where we end up. And where we end up is much more realistic and sad. That doesn't mean Kumbalangi Nights didn't disappoint me at the end, because some of these movies are just like, they're such crazy, twisty stories. But that felt very real, and this felt very real in a good way. So I liked it.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to go 5 on this one because
Chris, the grumpy bear.
This was one of those ones that I enjoyed pretty much from the moment it started to the end. I think about it, and other than there was only one part where I thought any of the acting really dropped, and it was at the very end where, like, when he shoots himself, the older brother drops to his knees and is like, "No!" And I was like, that felt a little hollow.
That felt a little Godfather 3.
Yeah, but
not Godfather 2.
No, 3, where he's the silent scream.
But that's 3. But I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I thought it was really, and like you said, it's grounded. I liked it. I liked the fact that they worked in a song, and that little that one kind of joyous moment during the film came from when the guy's wife, his new wife shows up. I really kind of liked that.
Very organic.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it's what do you call it when it's the music is part of the natural.
It's diegetic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, also the song around the fire, the song around the fire too, didn't feel like it was out of place. That felt because they're all slamming whiskey and rum or whatever the hell they were drinking, and that's the other thing. They're drinking through the whole film. Yeah, they're all drinking.
But smoking kills.
That's true.
Chris, I'm surprised you went 5 for 5 on this one, and there's no
bullets. Definitely kill.
There's only one bullet in that rifle.
There's only one. Sean, there was
all you need.
Novelization. I know you like a good novelization.
There could be.
Yeah, no, that's coming out.
John,
it's on Amazon.
John, you asked. Diegetic music means it's music that is the source of the music is in the frame in the story, like someone's playing a guitar. Yeah. Whereas exegetic music would be the score, like John Williams' score. That's exegetic music. So you can watch movies that play with those ideas. That can be very interesting, but it's a distinction in where the music is coming from.
So in Animal House, that's diegetic, where he's playing the guitar on the stairway, and John Belushi.
Stephen Bishop.
Oh, and that's
Stephen Bishop.
Stephen Bishop.
All right, I agree with Chris. 5 Ledoux's. I love this film. Okay, the length got me right from the get-go.
Will you stop talking about the length?
I can't stop because
on the posters are going to say it's short.
When I see 100 minutes, I'm
thick.
like, oh
That's
my
what Debbie
God.
says
This is,
about me.
Hey,
Yeah.
I want our Indian Cine-Maniac fans to please comment on Chris giving this movie a 5, because everyone knows Chris's reputation out there. Okay,
Chris knows good films. It's well deserved.
I want to hear Action 1260. I hope you're paying attention to this. All right, good call on this one,
1260.
Yeah.
Nice job. Let's see.
Yeah.
We'll do a heart. See if the hearts come out. Nope, doesn't. I don't think I'm doing it right.
That's an Apple thing.
I'm not using my iPhone.
It's a
No,
Zoom
there we
thing.
go.
Raise your hand.
Chris has got it.
No, it's a Zoom thing. It's not an Apple thing.
We're all
That's
using Zoom, Ralph. It's not doing hearts.
There's
anybody.
a setting in Zoom. I haven't hit it yet.
Oh.
Because he's not on an iPhone.
That's called reactions.
No, but I am on an.
I understand, but it's a Zoom thing. Maybe it's Zoom with Apple.
Maybe that's what it is.
All right. Fantastic film. I want a round of applause for this one.
Wow.
This is-
Yeah, me
not that
too.
a guy shot himself in front of a tree. That's
and
That's
it's
a good
short.
movie.
very short. Was it short? Yeah.
You know what I think?
140.
You can see every dollar.
Every dollar is on the screen.
This was this was a beautiful film as well.
It's
I will say this. I'm
was a
kind of
beautiful
interested
film.
in what else she has directed. I'd like to see
Yeah.
what else she's directed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost as long
what
as
a
half Killers of the Flower Moon. So that was also exciting.
Speaking of love,
All right, so going forward, we're not going to do another wheel. I think what we've decided is John has done a bunch of 10-ish minute reviews that a lot of commenters. Thank you, John. By the way, that's keeping the dream alive.
Brand alive.
A lot of his commenters are going, well, we like the review, we love the review, but we'd really love to hear what the other people, your other guys, say about this film. So we're going to, for the next couple of weeks, 2, 3, I don't want to get John's head all built that we're going to keep him going for 6 weeks. Just
They'll
family,
just keep giving us new material anyway.
only family can tell the truth, and I don't want his head to get too big. But for a couple of
We're
weeks,
blown off.
John is going to pick the films that his commenters have said, you guys have to do that film. So,
Can I make a suggestion?
of course.
What if I take like 5 films that everyone is saying you guys should all watch and put it in a community poll?
Okay. And
Let
what?
them vote on what they want you guys
Well,
to
why
see.
don't we put that on the wheel? Why not just go back to the wheel theme? I hate to lose the wheel theme. Why not put those 5 on the wheel?
Because a wheel is random, where community poll the audience decides.
Yeah, but
what
what if you're
films-
the 5th one in that list? And you know,
Is this
What if
this
you're the
part of
5th one on
show
the wheel?
Is this part of the show on the behind the scenes extras?
Yeah,
on
this
the-
is how the sausage is made.
this is Patreon.
Is the show.
I think we put it on the wheel and make it completely random. We got to keep the randomness up. That's my feeling. It's my show.
It's
I'm the showrunner.
Democrat.
It's the democratic wheel. It's the wheel of whatever we said.
It's not the
before.
democratic rule, Ralph. It's the dictatorship rule.
That's what I pick the 5.
Wait a minute. You and Chris go out this weekend. You talk about it. Then come back and tell us what
No,
you guys
pick
decided
John.
on.
You can pick the first one. You bring the
All right.
first one, and then we'll put the other 4 on the wheel. You said 5. Okay?
All right.
Fair enough?
All right. Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
Fine.
Now the pressure's on you to pick the first one.
Well, I already know what the first one's going to be.
What's it going to be?
It'll be 12th fail.
Yeah.
12th fail?
Yeah. Starring this actor.
Really?
Yeah.
oh, cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
Awesome.
it's long. It's long, Ralph.
How long?
I think it was 2:38.
Is that with an F?
That's not so
2:38.
bad. Anything 3 hours
But
and up.
it's good. It's good, and it's one of these movies. At the end of the movie, it's going to be like Stars on Earth. That feeling you had at the end of that movie.
Oh,
It's gonna
don't
be
give it
similar.
away. Don't ruin it for me because I didn't
Oh,
have that.
well-
I didn't have that feeling at the end of that film.
Oh, that's right. You hated that movie.
I didn't like
That's
that one
right,
as much
'cause you
as
hated
guys
the
did.
kid. You hated.
I didn't hate it. No. All right, John. You keep forgetting to
Stop.
remind everybody to what?
He really doesn't
So I haven't
remember.
hit the like button.
I know what it is.
They should do the
Hanging
notifications too.
Notification.
Listen, our fans know what to do. They know to hit the like button, subscribe,
They have
share
new
it,
content daily. It's-
notification, because we pump out so much new content.
We do.
So you want to be notified when it comes up. And Ralph is starting to make all kinds of shorts now, so we hopefully see a lot more of that.
I'm working on.
Thank
it.
you, Ralph.
There's a
Thank you,
subscription-
John.
That's a subscription service, so I can't do it that much. But
Oh,
so yeah.
And I'm thinking of adding a classic comedy to some, and we're going to watch all the films in chronological order of W.C. Fields. I think that will bring the people.
wow! Wow.
Why don't we watch a Thin Man movie? Oh, never mind.
This is like a family. I'm about to
The bank
insult
dick.
So I think I'm about to. So, all right, everybody. Good job. Great film. Remind me.
Act Shat.
Act Shat.
Back
Thank
shot.
you.
My friend. Nice
Thank
job.
you, Mr.
Really
Kumar.
great.
Good job.